this is Jerry Norton. I'm here with Nick Fulmer, and we are here in front of his very first deal, wholesaling this house, and just really excited to be here with you, Nick.
Yep, good to be here. This is my very first deal. Only made about $1,500, but for me, that was awesome. You know, not knowing anything about real estate, you know, putting no money into it, making $1,500 was great.
Nick is actually one of my students. He took some of my training, got some of my programs and systems, and then he did what's really great is he went out and he took action and he did a couple of deals. And I'm just really thrilled to have an opportunity to be here with him, get to meet him in person, and actually we are standing in front of his very first deal that he did. This is the house behind us here. So he wholesaled this deal, right, Nick?
Yep,
and
I did.
We're going to talk all about that. We're going to get to know Nick a little bit, and we're just going to kind of find out more about how he did this deal, because what's exciting is when you do that first deal, and Nick, this was only what, $1,500?
Yeah, it was only $1,500.
Okay, now we say only $1,500, and maybe if you're watching this and you're listening, you're thinking, well, geez, what's that going to do for me, right? In the big scheme of things, but it represents way more than just $1,500.
Yes.
It's doing that deal, it's getting that confidence, getting that success. And that catapults a lot of things. I know for me, when I did my first deal, you know, it was the same thing. It wasn't very much, but it just, I felt then like an investor. I felt like, okay, I'm doing real estate. And I know you've kind of had the similar experience. You went on and did another deal and you're working on other things. So that's awesome. So Nick, maybe just tell us a little bit for a minute or briefly, you know, who you are, maybe what you do or did before this, kind of.
Absolutely.
Just a little background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up here in Pleasant Grove. We're in Provo now, but right now I work as a corrections officer at the Utah State Prison. I work graveyard, so that's, you know, kind of puts a damper on the investing schedule.
That's nights, right?
Yep. So I work 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., 12-hour shifts. And working there, I always grew up with the mentality, you know, get a job, get a good job, work 20, 30 years, get a pension. And then I started working at the prison and realized that that's no longer the case.
Yeah.
And so then I bought your course, and that's when I started in real estate investing. So I started working at the prison and realizing that I need to take control of my financial life.
Awesome. So you had that kind of awakening. You thought real estate, that's the way to do it.
Yep.
You know, that's what happened to me. That's what happens to a lot of people is they look at real estate as the vehicle to kind of get there, right?
Exactly.
And so as a natural progression, you do wholesaling, right? That's kind of for most people, when you get into real estate investing, your first step is wholesaling, and then hopefully you kind of grow from there and transition from there and do other things. But so you did that, you got some of my training, and now tell me, let's talk now about your deal here. So we're here in front of this house. Now this house, what's cool, I think it's kind of cool, is you wholesaled this, but you didn't wholesale it to a rehabber. You wholesaled it to another wholesaler who then wholesaled it to a rehabber.
Yep.
And the reason why I think that's cool is because it just goes to show, one, that you got a good deal.
Yeah.
And because, you know, somebody else was able to then take your deal and wholesale it.
Yep.
Do you know how much they made? Any idea?
I think they made close to 10 grand.
Close to 10 grand.
Yep.
So the second thing, I'm just, you know, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I left all this money on the table. But the other thing is it lets you know what your potential was on this deal.
Yep, exactly.
And how important it is to, you know, network and build a cash buyer list, because this could have been an 11.5 deal.
Yep.
Instead of a $1,500 deal, right?
Exactly.
But that's a huge lesson. That's an awesome lesson.
Yes.
I hope you took that and said, holy cow, I could have made 11.5 on this deal. I gotta keep working and building my network and my buyers list, right?
Yep.
Okay, so do you remember some of the numbers here? What was your buy on this?
I got it under contract for $106,000.
106.
At the time, there were comps running in around $200,000.
On the retail side.
Yep, on the retail side. So almost 50% off.
Yeah. Yeah, great. How much repairs do you think they put into it? I mean, it's kind of a guess, but I mean, it looks like they did some work on it.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, where all this dirt is right here,
yeah,
that foundation was caved in. So they
had
had
block, because it looks like a block foundation.
Yeah, I think it's a cinder block.
Yeah.
And It only went halfway down the wall, and so the wall was bulging in, and it actually broke through. So they had to go in and redo the foundation.
Which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
That's scary for a lot
Yep.
of people, foundation issues.
Yep, exactly. And then there was an encroachment issue right back here on the driveway. Right down the drive, you know, the middle of the driveway is the property line.
Yeah.
And so part of the garage is sitting in the neighbor's yard.
So that's kind of a problem.
They had to solve the encroachment issue. And then they needed new carpet. They needed to redo the 2 kitchens. There's one upstairs, one downstairs. New paint.
Yeah. So it's on a basement and
Yeah.
finished both levels.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this actually has like a mother-in-law apartment in it.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
they had 2 kitchens to do, 2 bathrooms.
And this was a bank owned. It was an REO,
Yep,
right?
it was an REO.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so you went in there, made an offer, right? Cash offer.
Yep.
And what's really cool is you used a technique that I've been teaching for a long time. It's an awesome technique. I see very few people do it. You actually took it and did it, which is you used an LLC, a designated LLC specific for this property, and then you assigned your LLC to your buyer.
Yes.
Which, what it did is it allowed you then to do a single close, right? Because you didn't have to come to the table with cash.
Yep. I put no money into the deal.
No money into the deal. Now this is so cool because with REOs, there's a rule, right? That you can't what?
You can't assign the contract.
You can't assign your contract with REOs. It's just something the banks have on there. They don't want to deal with assignments and wholesalers. So they actually have in the REO contracts, almost all, I haven't seen any bank-owned properties that will allow it, where it specifically says you cannot assign this contract. What that means, if you don't know, is it means if he were to have got this under contract in his name or his entity name, he would have had to first close on it for $106,000, come to the table with cash, then turn around and done another closing to his cash buyer, and then probably paying closing fees both ways.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have worked.
No.
He wouldn't made it. It just wouldn't have worked.
Wouldn't have worked.
So that is so cool. I love that technique. We actually teach that technique, and you did it, which to me is just thrilling because, like I said, you know, I don't see a whole lot of people actually take it and do it, and you did. So I want to congratulate you on doing that.
Oh, well, thanks for teaching it.
Yeah, well, so good job. And, you know, so tell me a little bit about, you know, how you found that buyer. Okay, so did you have the buyer already kind of in mind? Did you already know him, or did you get the deal first?
I did know him. So I started making offers on homes, but at the same time was trying to build my cash buyers list, like your training teaches. And I actually, his name was Luke, and I found him through a website and just, you know, Googled cash buyers, Utah.
Okay, yeah, in the area.
And there he was. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm doing some wholesale deals. Would you like to be on my list? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And he actually, you know, he helped me out. He was running comps for me because he had access to the MLS. And it's been a good relationship, and I still talk with him today. So
that's great.
So just Googled cash buyers. Simple.
You know, it's one technique. You did it, and it works. And you know, the key there, I think, is you got on the phone, you talk to him, you build rapport, and that's awesome. So did that conversation happen after you got this under contract, where you met him, or before?
I actually met Luke before.
Okay,
so
before.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's another really exciting technique is talk to these cash buyers, find out what they're looking for, what markets they like, what areas they like, what price range, that kind of thing, and then go find them a deal.
Exactly.
We call that reverse wholesaling, but Luke's his name. If you do things right, you should be able to continually wholesale deals to him. That's how valuable, you know, building that list is and making those connections.
Yep.
So that's great. So, and you brought up another point I want to just talk about a little bit is he had access to the MLS, right? So was he licensed?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a big proponent of getting your license in your market. You don't have to have your license, but it just, you know, comes in so handy because you can run comps, you can look up, you know, history on the deal. You can figure out a lot of things with that MLS. So if you don't have MLS, it means you gotta have a good relationship with an agent who does, who will kind of help you go through some of that.
Yeah. Critical.
And have you been able to do that?
Yeah, I've actually, you know, built some relationship with a couple different realtors and actually got MLS access through them. And
great.
So it's nice because I can run my own comps, and it's great.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Invaluable tool for sure.
Now, have you been able to make any contact with the rehabber who bought this from
Not
your buyer?
yet. I've taken down his number, and I still need to call him up and talk to him, but not yet. No.
Okay. And you have to be careful there too, because you made a relationship with his wholesaler, Luke, right?
Yep.
And so, you know, it's a small town. Real estate investing is a small world, so you want to be careful not to you know, burn any bridges or step on any toes.
Exactly.
When you're doing things. So, so what's your goals now? So you did this deal. You went on. You did another deal. How quickly was the second deal after this one?
I think so. We closed this one in February of this year, and then I closed my second deal. I believe it was in April. It was April or May. So it was just a couple months after.
Right.
I did my second deal.
And that was a little bigger.
Yeah, that one was actually a $7,000 profit.
Nice.
But because it was a JV deal, a joint venture deal, so then we split that.
You had to split it.
And so it was only $3,500, but $7,000 total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
So
yeah, and we'll check that one out too and talk about that one. But what are your goals now? What are you shooting for now?
Right now, like, real estate is just supposed to be my vehicle to financial freedom. You know, working as a corrections officer, we don't make very much, and if I could build a business that brings in, you know, $6,000 a month, that's going to triple the income that I live on now.
Yeah, and if you think about it, that's one deal, maybe two, but that should be one deal.
Yep. But I would say, I mean, for anyone, I mean, I don't know if I can give a little advice for the first timers. When you're new, beware of the shiny object syndrome, because I've fallen into that. And so,
what is the shiny object syndrome?
You know,
tell us what that is.
It's where you may get involved in real estate, and you'll start to learn about all the different strategies. You know, there's wholesaling, fix and flipping, tax sales, tax liens, you know, all that good stuff.
Dozens and
there's
hundreds.
Yeah, there's hundreds of ways to make money in real estate, but you just need to pick one and get good at it, and then move on to the next one. Whereas what I did is I did a couple deals, saw a new strategy, and said, oh, I'm going to go try that, and then I killed my momentum. So now I'm coming back to where it all started, coming back to the roots, and getting back into it, because I, you know, started with wholesaling, then I was like, okay, now I'm going to do seller financing. And then I got into tax overages, and which has been good. I mean, I actually made some money from that, but you just need to focus on one, get good at it, then move on to the next strategy.
Excellent. Thank you for saying that. I think that's really good advice. And you know, when I first started, I did wholesaling, and I didn't touch another strategy for about 2 years. I just wanted to get that down and get that momentum going, and you will, and you'll get to that point where you're doing 3, 4, 5 deals a month, and then it's just like really exciting. You know, and the goal with real estate obviously is to progress. You know, and this is something that I talk about a lot. You know, I started out with junkers, you know, way less than even this kind of deals, you know, in Detroit, and it was great. I do those deals, 3, 5, you know, $6,000, $7,000 wholesale deals, and eventually you can then say, okay, I think I'm ready now to take on a rehab. Or I'll start raising capital to do my own deals. Or, you know, you can say instead of leaving money on the table for the rehab, or I'll do this one, maybe keep wholesale. You know, but that transition, like you said, you got to be really careful not to chase after those shiny objects, because they're there. You know, they're always there. And better to really focus in and get good. You know.
Absolutely.
So I think you're in the right direction there with really learning wholesaling, really doing it. And you know, people don't think this often, but there's a lot of opportunities in the market if you're willing to get out there and hustle. And you know, you're willing to take that initiative and get out there and make offers. You know, I tell people, make offers, make offers, make offers. The more offers you make, the more deals you get.
So true too.
It's just a matter of that. So, any final thoughts you'd like to share?
No, the biggest thing, avoid the shiny object syndrome.
Awesome.
Just dedicate yourself, and then just take action. And you know, the more action you take, the more magic seems to happen. That's been my experience. You know, the more action you take, things just kind of come together. Even though you may not know what you're doing, I'm still learning, you know, and still a beginner. But things just kind of come together as you continually take action every day.
So Nick, this being your first deal, were you glad you didn't have to do it alone and kind of figure things out and you know, make a lot of mistakes along the way and maybe shortcut some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I was able to invest in your program, being able to have not only the information, but the biggest thing for me was the tools, such as, the proof of funds to be able to make cash offers. That was the biggest thing for me, was having those tools in place to be able to go out and implement what you were actually teaching. And so it gave me the confidence to go out and to actually, go out and actually do a deal without ever having any experience in real estate.
Well, thank you, Nick, for taking the time to be here.
You bet.
I want to congratulate you on your success doing this deal and sharing with us kind of your words of wisdom and how you got started. And I'm just really looking forward to watching you progress and reach those goals you have and really hit it big. So, all right, thanks for joining us.